Saat ini kita dihadapkan pada isu lingkungan yang mengancam peradaban dunia. Karena itu, setiap perusahaan memikul tanggung jawab untuk mengedepankan pembangunan berkelanjutan dalam draft bisnis mereka. Tanggung jawab ini pun kini harus diemban CIO. Survei Carter menunjukkan isu environmental sustainability kini menjadi salah satu prioritas utama seorang CIO dengan urgensi yang semakin meningkat dari tahun ke tahun. Masalahnya, tantangan CIO di area keberlanjutan terbilang kompleks. Di satu sisi, CIO dituntut untuk menurunkan jejak karbon dari infrastruktur digital yang dimiliki perusahaan. Di sisi lain, CIO juga didorong kreatif memanfaatkan teknologi demi menjaga bisnis yang berkelanjutan. Lalu, bagaimana CIO dapat menjawab tuntutan ini? Kami pun berbincang dengan Arun Biswas, Managing Partner Strategic Sales and Sustainability Consulting IBM Asia Pasifik, untuk membahas strategi yang dapat diambil CIO dalam mewujudkan bisnis yang berkelanjutan.
Sure. I do work with a lot of CIOs, and what I see is that the CIOs are being challenged on one hand to reduce their carbon and environmental footprint of their enterprise IT, and at the same time they are being challenged to use IT to help the enterprise drive their sustainability KPIs. In particular, there are 5 types of challenges they face. First is the carbon and environmental footprint of IT is growing, and especially given generative AI and the demands, the energy consumption demands of generative AI. So that's the first one. The second is, in order to measure sustainability KPIs and monitor and manage these KPIs, you need data, and sustainability data is quite complex. It is more complex than financial data. And you need to collect this data not only within the enterprise, but across the entire value chain. That makes it even more difficult. So that's the second challenge. The third challenge they face is establishing the business case. Establishing a return on investment on technology initiatives related to sustainability is often quite challenging. The fourth area is skills. The CIOs do not have enough people who have knowledge of both IT and sustainability. And you need knowledge of both to be able to drive sustainability within organizations. And finally, the last challenge is multi-stakeholder collaboration, because this is not something which the CIO can himself or herself drive on their own. They need to collaborate with the rest of the C-suite. They need to collaborate with their partners, their suppliers, vendors outside the organization. So it requires a lot of complex collaboration and a holistic approach. I think before I go into the recommendations for companies, I would just like to put the data in context. Now, if you look at the carbon emissions of the entire information and communication technology sector, it's roughly around 2% of global carbon emissions, right? So that's not very big, but not very small either, because that's similar to what is the carbon emissions of an industry like the airline industry, for example, right? So, but the bigger concern is that it's growing very rapidly, and growing rapidly because of AI, and the growth at times is around 30 to 40% per year. Now, a single model like GPT-3, I just read some recent research. Just to train a GPT-3 model, it took about 500 metric tons of carbon. Now, that is almost equivalent to 100 gasoline-powered cars running for a year. Right? Now, this is only the training part, and then you have the inference part and so on. So this is a growing concern, and it's not just carbon, it's also water. To cool data centers, you need water. And water, as you know, is scarce in many parts of the world, including in Southeast Asia, right? So it is a growing concern. And first of all, companies need to be aware of this. But the good part is that there are ways in which we can manage this. Now, first of all, within IBM, we are taking various measures to be able to help our clients manage their carbon and environmental footprint of IT. For example, we have a comprehensive assessment which can be done on IT architectures. It has been proven that if instead of a completely on-prem architecture, you follow a hybrid cloud architecture, then your carbon footprint goes down. Because, you are sharing a lot of your infrastructure and workload, and hence the energy consumption comes down. Modern data centers are able to handle energy consumption in a much better way, and so on. When it comes to AI, again, we have to look at a world whereby we are able to use much smaller models, because larger models consume a lot more power. So within IBM, we are working on smaller models because enterprises don't always need very large models, right? We also are working on better AI infrastructure, better methods of training the model so that they consume less energy. We are also looking at better algorithms, because some of these algorithms, like transformer algorithms, can be are good for one purpose. They may not be good for other purposes. We are also helping our clients choose the right models. They don't need to choose a large model when a different method of computation might suffice. And we are insisting on open models, because if models are open, then they can be measured. So in summary, while the growing environmental and carbon footprint of AI and IT is a concern, there are many ways in which we can mitigate this. And this is where we need to put our focus on. And the last thing I'll mention is that we also need better data. Because today we need more research into exactly where the energy consumption is happening, how it is happening, and how much it is. Because there's not enough public data available to really measure the carbon and IT and environmental footprint of IT. Yeah, so there are three ways to look at this, right? The first is that organizations need to invest more in building their internal data platforms. And these data platforms need to capture not only financial data, but also things like sensor data. If you want to measure, for example, in a factory, the environmental impact, you need sensors to actually measure what's happening. Satellite data, you need to have geospatial data, different multimodal kinds of data. And, often organizations will find that the cost of acquiring this data and creating a data platform can pay off, because the kind of business use cases you can put this data to are not just related to sustainability, but also to business performance. So that's the first part, internally within the organization. Second, across the value chain, organizations need to collaborate, because there is no point. As a single organization, you cannot start measuring your entire value chains. Value chains are often quite complex. You might have thousands of suppliers. You might have thousands of customers. It's not possible for you as an organization to collect data from. This is where organizations within a particular industry need to collaborate and share data. So that is very important. And the third thing is government. Government needs to play a big role. I'm a strong believer in making the data a public good. So government should invest in creating data sets which can be shared quite openly with industries as well as with academic institutions, etc., so that they can be used in a standard manner. So I think if we take these three steps, we'll be able to tackle this data problem much better. Yeah, I do believe that AI, with good data, AI can help businesses drive both their sustainability metrics and business performance metrics. It's a very powerful enabler, right? Let me give you examples from 4 domains. Based on our work which we are doing with our clients, we are seeing use of AI in 4 high impact domains. The first is decarbonization. AI can help make assets, operations, and facilities more energy efficient. And this is a very low hanging and easy thing to do, right? For example, within IBM, our IBM real estate team, we use AI to reduce our energy consumption in buildings. The second example is from operations. We are working with a large steel manufacturer in India to use AI to make their blast furnace operations more efficient. And therefore, you are reducing carbon as well as energy consumption as well as cost. Next is assets. We are working with several asset-intensive industries, for example, energy and utility grids, to help use AI for predictive maintenance. And what that does is that it improves the efficiency of the asset, it expands the asset lifespan, thereby you're reducing carbon consumption, you're reducing material consumption, and you're saving costs. So this is all in the decarbonization field. The second domain is energy transition. Now, as we all know, if we have to get to net zero, we have to triple the renewables penetration into our electricity ecosystem. But that's quite difficult because the more wind and solar you pump in, the more variable you're making the energy supply. And then with electric vehicles on the road, the demand is also variable. So one big use case for use of AI is in balancing energy demand and supply in the electricity grid. For that, you need multivariate forecasts. So we are working with grid companies to create AI-based multivariate forecasts, and we are finding that they're much better than traditional forecasts. Next domain, monitoring and reporting. AI can help you actually directly measure emissions using satellite data. Now, we are working with many oil and gas and energy companies to look at how we can use AI to track leakages of greenhouse gases like methane, as well as carbon dioxide across their pipelines. And satellite data is very difficult to analyze, without the use of AI, because there are data gaps, there is lack of granularity, and this is where AI can help a lot, especially generative AI can help a lot. And finally, the final domain is innovation, because AI can help us discover new solutions. One big area we are working on in IBM is materials discovery. Typically, it takes 7 to 10 years to discover new materials. But with the aid of AI, you can cut short this whole development cycle to a year or less, or even in a few months. So we are using AI to discover materials that can absorb carbon better. And we can put that material on smokestacks and chimneys and all that, right? So you can see that there are lots of examples where these are all practical examples where we are really working with AI to help our clients. Having said that, Vishnu, I must point out that we must remember that AI is not a silver bullet. It needs to be used in a responsible manner because it has challenges. It has challenges like we know that AI hallucinates. It has issues of bias, ethics, trust. There could be challenges in establishing ROI. There are skills challenges, the carbon footprint challenges. So I would always advocate a responsible and ethical use of AI. Yeah, so first of all, I would like to acknowledge that the current both economic and geopolitical conditions are quite challenging, right? And they have impacted the priority of sustainability as an agenda. Having said that, I think what I'm seeing is that there is greater awareness about sustainability within enterprises. The question everybody is asking is not why, but how. How do we really become more sustainable? And organizations are finally they're realizing that it is quite complex. There are a lot of complexities and challenges in becoming truly sustainable. At the same time, there are companies who have really seen this as an opportunity. So the first thing is that my recommendation to companies is to look at both the challenges but also the opportunities. For example, Vishnu, in Asia, in order to transition to the net zero economy by 2050, we'll have to spend roughly between $1 and $2 trillion every year. $1 trillion. Now, this is the biggest economic shift and capital allocation shift that's going to happen in our lifetime. This could be a huge opportunity for forward-looking companies. So companies have to reimagine their business models in the new net zero era. And some companies have. You've seen what has happened to solar. You've seen what has happened to wind power. You've seen what's happened to electric vehicles. Similarly, every company has to reimagine themselves in the net zero era, and there could be huge opportunities which they can have. Now, of course, they need to start investing in the right technology, in the right skills, in the right leadership, because this will require a different kind of leadership, something which is much more collaborative, much more creative, and so on. Innovation and creation will be very, very important. But having said that, I do also acknowledge that, our actions till date have not been enough. We are not on a track to become to a sustainable future and to become net zero, right? Now, while actions of individual companies will matter, we must also realize that this thing is too big and complex, and it will require a system level change. And this is where organizations will have to work with the government and civil society to bring about a system level change, because we need to fundamentally rethink our economic systems, in particular how to price externalities, how to come up with better regulation standards. So while the individual efforts of companies will matter, we also need, economy-wide system level changes. The first, look, we are a technology company, and our aim is to use technology to help companies become much more profitable as well as sustainable. So the best way we can help our clients is to see how to wisely use technology to drive both their business and sustainability KPIs. And for that, the first thing to do is to help them with their data. Just acquiring the right data sets, making sure that they have the right platforms to draw insights from the data and use the data wisely, right? We have several solutions in this regard. Our consulting team, we also work with our clients to implement large transformation programs. And one thing which we are always advising our clients to do is make sure you are not looking at sustainability as a silo initiative, but we are encouraging them to embed sustainability in their strategy, operations, and large digital transformation programs. I can give a few examples. For example, we have embarked on a large ERP and supply chain transformation program with one of our food and beverages clients in Singapore. We are implementing SAP. So as a part of this program, what we looked at is that, okay, you have some business objectives of the SAP program. Let's see how we can also put some sustainability objectives in the same program. So for example, we are helping them optimize their inventory to reduce the level of stocks that go beyond the expiry date. Because they're a beverage company, a lot of shelf products on the shelf. We can use the ERP and digital technologies to reduce the expired stock. The moment you do that, you are reducing carbon, you are saving energy, you are saving materials, you're also saving costs. So this is an intelligent way of embedding sustainability into a large digital transformation program. I'll give you one more example. This is from Australia. We work with a company which is an infrastructure provider in Australia. They build railway coaches and maintain railway coaches for rail companies. So we built a digital and AI-based asset management platform based on IBM Maximo for them. And this platform helps them maintain their rail coaches much better. And this actually has helped them reduce their carbon emissions, extend their lifespan of their railway coaches. Thereby, it has helped them reduce material consumption, reduce costs, but also it has improved service reliability of the trains. That has also improved customer experiences. So if you think about programs intelligently, you can combine both sustainability and the business KPIs.